Hey sis, have you ever felt called to write a book that glorifies God, but fear or uncertainty is holding you back? Do you feel God has placed a book inside of you, but you're unsure where to begin? Do you worry about what others might think of you if your book will be quote unquote well received? Today, I want to help you get free and relinquish all the what ifs and write your book. I want to offer you some encouragement and help you move past fear and finally write your God story with faith and confidence. Let's go. Ready to build your kingdom business and make an impact? Are you overwhelmed with too many business ideas? Or do you find yourself supporting other people's dreams but neglecting your own? Hey, I'm Donna Cherie, a certified kingdom coach, author, and speaker. Welcome to Call for Business. I know what it's like to feel lost, stuck, and bogged down with information overload, but I discovered the power of taking one step at a time and doing business God's way. Inside this podcast, I'll teach you how to get your coaching business up and running, establish your business basics, develop a kingdom mindset, craft your first book blueprint, all while keeping God at the center of your business. It's time to get clear, sis. Move with purpose and unlock your full potential. Grab a notebook and pen with your favorite cup of tea. I pray this blesses you. Let's get it. Imagine holding a finished book in your hands, your story, your testimony, your kingdom message impacting lives for His glory. Sounds amazing, doesn't it? Yes, I know. And that can be true for you, sis. You can hold your finished book in your hands and share your God story with the world that will edify and transform lives. So today I want to talk to you about just that, how to share your kingdom book, write your kingdom book, and share your story with the world. When I felt God nudging me to write my first kingdom book, I didn't feel ready. I didn't feel ready at all. I doubted my ability to share my story and wondered if anyone would even read it. But through faith, strategy, and community, I overcame those fears and took the leap of faith. And I have shared that in other episodes as well, where I was writing just mindlessly, didn't really know what to write because I had no strategy or outline or a book planning guide to really help me. But I pressed on and I leaned in, and I also had not only just faith and strategy, but community around me to really help write the book. And I wrote it in less than a year. To God be the glory, because it was His help. So not bragging on myself, but definitely on God. And let me tell you, the rewards were so much greater than I imagined because I pushed past the fear and wrote the book. And 3 years later, talking about today, here we are now, I'm still getting emails, text messages, and encouraging words from my readers. And God is just so faithful in His word, and He keeps His promises. And recently, just last month, I received an email from a reader who I've never met before. And she sent me this incredible message that I want to share with you today that really helped inspire me and actually help to solidify, if you will, my why of why I'm showing up here, of why I am a book writing coach, and why I want to help others to write their book. She said, as a part of my graduation gifts, I was given your memoir, and I must say your story is so captivating and motivating. I suffered much of what you have as well from my past, and I too share in your story of resilience and overcoming. I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to read your writings. Thank you so much for sharing your story. You made a big difference in my life and probably many others as well. I'm telling you, when I opened this email and saw this from this young lady, my heart was just so filled with joy and gladness, and I could do nothing but just give God all the praise. Because what if, friend, what if I never wrote the book? What if I never put the pen to paper and actually wrote untarnished? I would never receive this email. And who knows who else, may not have been able to receive that book and been encouraged and inspired. And so I'm only sharing that with you today to help encourage you to write your book, write your kingdom book, and get it out there into the world, because somebody, a reader, is waiting on you to receive what it is God has put inside of you and how he has transformed you and done great and marvelous things in your life to be able to share with the world. And I want to tell you this, stories are so powerful and can be super impactful. And believe it or not, we tend to remember stories 22 times more than facts alone. And have you ever just listened to a speaker or a presentation or maybe a podcast or whatever, and the speaker was telling you a story, and you were able to hold on to the story. You were able to grab hold of the story. You may not remember other things that they shared during that message, but it's the story that you remember. And that's the same thing when it comes to writing your book, because you're sharing your story. Your readers will be able to relate to it. They'll be able to identify with it, and they'll remember it, and they'll be able to connect with you through the story that you share. So I like to give a little bit of like fun facts, I guess. So I want to give you a few fun facts about stories and testimonies and what they can do when we share them. So testimonies allow us to connect with others on a deeper level. Just like I gave you this testimony of what I received from a reader previously, I was able to connect with her on a deeper level because of my testimony. It also allows for a deeper level of healing as you share your story with the world. So you may have gone through some healing, some heart healing with God if you've shared your story before. But having a book and actually writing your story down in a book allows you to peel back the layers of the onion, if you will, and receive an even deeper level of healing. And even as you go about and tell it to others, it gives you even more healing, heart healing, and freedom to be able to walk into your truth and own the testimony that God has given you. And again, to share with the world what he has allowed you to overcome. A scripture reference that I want to give to you today is Revelations 12:11. I won't read the whole thing, but in here it says that we overcome, or some versions say we triumph over the word of our testimony. And so if you share your testimony, you can overcome by the word of your testimony. You are no longer defeated. You are victorious because you shared your story. Another fun fact is that stories build bridges and glorify God by showing his work in real lives, showing that God is real. Because who knows, your story might touch an atheist. Your story can help transform somebody who lost belief and lost faith in God. But because you shared your story in your book and allow God to use your story to be able to speak to this person, it could transform their whole life and shift their whole mindset and put them on a whole trajectory that's different from what they was doing or living before. And how exciting is it that we could be able to do that through sharing our stories? And then the other thing is that stories help to give others hope and confidence as they may have experienced or walked through something similar. And our stories are not just for us, but it is for others, for them to be able to receive what God has for them. So when writing your God story in a book, here are a few things I want you to consider, as you might be on the fence of writing your book. You're in the process of writing it, and maybe you feel like you're stuck or you're not sure what to write. Here are a few things you can consider when you are writing your story and sharing it in your book. So you want to craft your story with impact and power. And how you do that is you want to focus on key moments. So not sharing every detail of your life. All the things that have happened in your life don't need to be included, but identify the pivotal moments where God showed up in powerful ways. Like, what stands out to you? What are some memorable or key moments in your life to where God really just showed up and showed out, or where you got this aha moment and things change for you? Another thing you'll want to consider when crafting your story is making sure that you're able to relate to your audience. So who is your writer? Who are you speaking to? And think about what your readers might need to hear and how your story can meet them where they are, because that's important. You want to be able to meet your reader where they are. The next thing is to keep it authentic, keep it 100. We got to do that. Make sure that we keep it real. So vulnerability resonates deeply. That is one thing that is lacking nowadays, is that there's so much falsehood and so not so much authenticity, but people they just want to be able to relate to real people and people who keep it real. So don't shy away from sharing your struggles, the struggles about your story, but always point back to God's redemptive power. And for myself, when I was sharing my God story through my book, Untarnished, I talk about incarceration, which was a very vulnerable, hard thing for me, a hard place for me to be in. But it has resonated with so many of my readers, and because of that struggle and how I found myself there, and I was able to point it back to God's redemptive power, what he did through me while I was incarcerated, the things that he revealed to me during that time, and it really helped to resonate with my readers. And also, stories become memorable when you include vivid details. This really helps to captivate your audience and keep them intrigued. So instead of just writing down, I felt lost, elaborate on that. Like, how did you feel lost? Were you at a time where things were tight and you couldn't pay your bills, or something happened in your life? And I'm not saying it has to be super drastic or devastating, but something in your life and where God just showed up, and what did that look like for you? Like, paint that vivid picture for your reader, for them to be able to walk along with you during your story, to be as if they're watching a movie or walking with you in that place that you were in, because it helps to be so much more memorable as you create that vivid picture. So just to recap that real quick too, so when you're writing your God story in your book, make sure you craft your story with make sure you craft your story with impact and empower, and you can do that by focus on key moments and not sharing your whole life story as like an autobiography. Relate to your audience. Where are they? How can you meet them? What is it that they need to hear? And then keep it authentic. Be vulnerable. Don't shy away from sharing the struggles, but make sure that you show God's redemptive power, and make sure that you include some vivid details while you're writing your story and crafting it. And sis, I want to reassure you today, because it's not about telling your story with perfection. It's not about that. It's all about your obedience to God and what he wants to do through you. Your job is to plant and water the seeds. God will give the increase and take care of the rest. And yes, it's true. Your book will not and does not have to be for everyone, just the people God intended it to reach. But if you never write it, those people can't be reached. If you never write it, then that door might not ever open up for you. If you don't write it, someone won't send you the email that says, "Hey sis, I was so encouraged by the words that you wrote in your book, and it really changed my life, and I want to buy 5 additional copies to bless somebody else in my family and allow them to read it." Don't hold on and keep this book that you have, this God story, just in your mind and bogged up, but share it with someone else. Share it, write it, craft it, and get help to do it. I'm here for you. And as my husband always says, knowing and doing are two different things. It's one thing to know something, but to actually do it brings about the change. So it's one thing to know that God wants you to write a book, but it's another thing to actually write the book and get it published, because that's going to help change lives. So make sure that you take action today. If God has placed a book in your heart, don't wait. Don't keep on waiting. Be sure to subscribe to the show for more on how to write a book. And of course, you can email me at contact@DonnaSharif for any questions about writing a book. I'll be sure to answer any questions you might have. So I hope this was helpful to you. I hope this has really blessed your life and that it allows you to start thinking about how to craft your book. Be sure to check out some of the episodes before this one, as I also talk about book writing, how to create your outline, what's on your book planning worksheet, and all of those goodies. So until next time, sis, ciao. Thanks for tuning in. I hope today's episode inspired you to take that next step in building your kingdom business. Remember, small steps lead to big results. If this podcast has blessed you in some way, be sure to leave a written review on Apple Podcasts. Your support means the world to me, and it helps others to find the show. You can also pass on the inspiration by sharing this episode with a friend who could benefit from this message. God bless you, sis, and never, ever give up.